Welcome to the Breaking 90 podcast, where we talk about all things sustainable fat loss. We take people on 90-day journeys to creating fat loss forever. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Breaking 90 podcast. I'm here today with my co-host, Kelly Sarlo, and we are the coaches of Breaking 90 Fitness. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoy the topic.
I was like super pumped up. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm practicing. I'm gonna wait. You just wait. It's
Okay.
gonna be like a WWE entry by the time I get a little better. In the left corner, Kelly Sarlo.
That's awesome.
So as you know, we moved recently, and we're close to a trail system, which I was really excited about for both the dogs and for myself and Emerson. He loves hiking and exploring. So the other night, what's that?
We're just leaving Devin out of this altogether.
Well, he's more excited about it than both she and I, but yes, we will use it also.
Okay.
Devin will also enjoy it, but not as nobody's going to enjoy it as much as Emerson.
Fair.
And it's so exciting. The other night after school, he always wants to just sit in front of the stupid TV. So I'm like, no, buddy, we're gonna go explore in the bush. We're gonna go for a hike. So he's pretty jacked about that. And so this trail system's 17 kilometers long. Like it's really long. And so what we did was we found some walking sticks. He wanted to do that. And then at every Y, I just let him pick the direction he wanted to go. And until it got like so carried away that I'm like, oh man, we're not going to make it back in time for bedtime if we don't start rerouting. So it was pretty fun just letting him explore and discover and like find things and take pictures of things to bring back to show to mom. It was a fun little journey. So I'm excited to do a lot more of that this summer.
That's fun. We got him a scavenger hunt backpack, so maybe we can create a scavenger hunt for the bush.
Totally. He loves that backpack. He wears it all the time and loves doing little explorations within the house. So he would lose his mind if he did that.
Cool. Can I jump into the topic?
Yeah. What do you got for us today?
Okay, so I want to ask you how you'd like to format this. I want to talk about qualities of a great client, but really and truly how I'm trying to frame this is, are you coachable, right? Because I think when we step into any kind of program, I know you're laughing already. When we step into any kind of program, hopefully you have chosen a coach that you like. And a natural human instinct is, if I've decided I like this person, I want them to like me too in some way, shape, or form. So there's an ability to sort of naturally step into the, I want to be coachable because I want that reciprocity going back and forth. But sometimes we lose sight of this and we develop, a cheeky rapport with them, and we don't necessarily notice that we are becoming not coachable. So I thought it might be a great checklist for people to self-reflect and really take a look at themselves, where they're at in this journey versus where they started and who they want to be.
Okay, awesome. Can I start?
Yeah, so this is where I was going to say, like, I have a list that I can offer you and you can expand, or you can just kind of free fly.
Okay, so the only thing else, I'll let you go. The number one thing I need from you to be coachable is communication.
Oh, I love that.
If you cannot communicate with me, do not come into this program. Like, as an online coach, I truly believe we can help people exponentially more than I can as I ever could as an in-person coach. Okay. I think that we have the ability to change lives and impact more people and help you in a way that you've probably never experienced before. But I need you to communicate. If you cannot communicate with me, with our team, this will never work.
Love it. That will come up. So hopefully we can expand on that in different ways.
For sure.
So the first item, but I'm going to put it in two different words, is willingness and openness. So do you want to expand or do you want me to?
I could start.
Sure.
If you like. Yeah. So this is a great one. So you need to be willing to learn, willing to approach things with a beginner mindset. Most of us have some knowledge, some experience somewhere in this field. You've been on this earth for 30, 40, 50 years, whatever it might be. You have some life experience. We need you to be willing to approach this with a beginner's mindset, be willing to learn some new things, and be willing to try things out. I don't believe that there is one right or wrong in health and fitness, but we're going to teach you some things, and we want you to try it and discover for yourself what may or may not make sense for you. And openness, we need you to be a little bit vulnerable here. Okay. We're going to be vulnerable with you. We're going to share, we're going to create a relationship. You need to be open with your coach, with your team, or it doesn't really work. There has to be a little bit of that. I think vulnerability is the best way to explain it, but you have to have some of that. What are your thoughts?
I think you crushed that answer. I don't have anything to add. And I love that you took the term vulnerability and put it on the table for people, because I think that's the thing people want to, like, they see it and they want to avoid it. But if we can put it on the table and say, like, this is a requirement and this is not something to be afraid of, this is something that we're here to support, then it doesn't have to be this big scary elephant in the room.
I guess what I would add here is, if you don't think you can do that, if you don't think you can be vulnerable and open and have that willingness, there are programs you can buy, right? You can buy a program and follow it on your own. But what we offer and what programs like us offer is coaching. So you need to, if you're investing into coaching, then you have to have that.
Okay, so you're talking and I'm like nodding my head in agreement. And then I'm realizing, oh, you meant programs that you don't necessarily have to communicate with a coach. And my life coaching hat went to, you can buy programs to learn how to be vulnerable.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure you can.
Yeah, that's funny.
But I mean, like, there's lots of programs out there, nutrition fitness programs for like 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks a month that are decent programs if you want to just do it on your own. That's better suited if you aren't willing to do the deep work, or you don't want to do the deep work.
And I love that you're pointing them in a direction with options, so that if they are like, oh man, I don't want to be that, and that's not who I feel I can be right now, then there is still a direction for you to take. We're not saying like, oh, there's no hope for you.
Yeah. And if you need some good ones, reach out to me. I'll point you in a good direction. I know lots of good programs out there.
Cool. So next one.
Yeah.
You have to be a good listener.
Listener and applier. Is that right?
Yeah, that's cool. Because yes, you have to be have a willingness to take action. And I think that I had associated that with the first one that we talked about in terms of willingness to take action. But a good listener is practicing active listening. They're not filtering out the information just that they want. They're not filtering out the information that makes them feel comfortable. They're not filtering out the information that they feel is just not relevant, right? You're trying to take everything in so that you can give yourself a whole picture.
Yeah. And that goes both ways. I mean, we're here to also listen. We understand that everybody's journey is unique. Everybody's situation is unique. And so we're willing to listen to what your obstacles and struggles are, but you have to be willing to listen to what our suggestions are to overcome.
And I think too, it's worth mentioning, if you've been in a program long enough and you feel I don't need to listen because I've heard it all, then you've really turned off your ears, essentially, right? Where you're saying, I'm now filtering out the information that I believe I already know, and I'm actually unwilling to hear it in a different way. And God, how many times in 2 years have I said to you, I've heard the same message 8 times. You said it slightly differently today, and I loved it all over again.
Yeah, even there's been people doing this for 5 years now that are saying the same thing. It's the same as you going and reading a book you once read and discovering all sorts of new knowledge in it, right? Like we need to hear things on repeat in different frames in order to understand it differently, in order to apply it differently. That's being a human.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so that leads me into my next one, and I'm going to kind of lump these two together. So we've got being inquisitive and seeking to understand. So these have to be intentions, right? Conscious intentions that when I am implementing my good listening skills or I'm trying to practice them, am I showing up with an inquisitive mind? And am I seeking to understand the information, or is it a completely other intention?
I love it. There's nothing I love more than somebody who's curious and wants to learn. That is exciting as a coach. If you come to me with questions and great questions and you want to learn, that's what excites me. Like, do it. You in a journey like this, you should never feel like you're left in the dark and don't know why something's happening or don't fully understand something. That's what we're here for, right? Ask the questions, get involved, be curious. Why are we doing this? Why is this important? Like, I love that. And I can't read your mind, and we can't read your mind. So a lot of the times with not enough communication or curiousness, we assume that things are going better than they could be, or that you don't need the answers to that, because I can't just guess that you need an answer to everything. So yeah, I love it.
I want to extend this to being curious, not just about yourself, right? I've listened to a lot of information and taken it in, and how can I apply it to my own life? And once I feel like I'm in this really good groove and I'm being consistent, my brain goes to, how can my mom benefit from this? How can my loved one benefit from this? How would it be fun to connect the dots to something I learned on the first day and what I'm implementing today, right? So it doesn't just go beyond what am I learning? It goes into bigger questions of how and connecting dots.
For sure. And so something that immediately came to mind, one of our current clients messaged me the other day and said that she's got a medical condition that she's curious about, and how her nutrition, the medical condition, and different skincare can all kind of come into play. And I was like, listen, I'm not a doctor. I don't have all of the answers, but I would love to chat about it with you. And so we've booked a call now, and we're going to chat about it, and it's exciting. And I will never pretend that I know answers to something that I don't. I'll try to point you in the right direction or refer you where you need to go. But there's nothing. It's never going to hurt to just chat about it and have the conversation and get a different point of view. I think that kind of thing is great. The more that we can expand our knowledge and hear other viewpoints and talk to different people about different things, like that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So this is one we talked about on a previous podcast a lot, is your ability to self-observe. So your, again, willingness as well to reflect on your actions, reflect on what you are actually implementing. And the second one I want to lump in with this is to be honest with yourself, right? If I am not willing to honestly observe what I'm doing, or honestly observe what I am not doing, then this does not make for someone to be coachable.
Agreed. And so there's a couple things here. So we have a community that's just for our members, which I think is really, really valuable, because everybody in that community is on a very similar journey. So it's a really beneficial community. Observing and participating in that community is a huge tool. Some people are uncomfortable in the community, and would prefer to just observe and not engage. I think that being willing to open up and use that community can be a massive tool. And I know that's not really what you were digging into, but I think it's important. Now to circle back more in line with what you are saying, if you kind of, I don't know if it's a matter of being dishonest, but if you kind of turn the blinders on and you're not willing to take that outside look, it makes it really difficult, right? If I'm not seeing you in person, I'm talking to you online, and you're frustrated and you're like, this something's just not adding up. I'm not making progress. I'm hitting my goals. What's going on? But if you just took a step back and you're like, yeah, I know I've been kind of eating like an asshole, or I've been not really, not really measuring. I'm kind of guessing a little bit more. I've been a little complacent. That's that quickly can help us come to a solution, right? It's easy for me to offer solutions, but that doesn't mean that it's always the right solution for you. So if we can help you come to a solution on your own, it will almost always end up better, because I'm not then guessing, well, okay, maybe we need to give you less calories because you're saying that everything's lining up. So maybe we do need to give you less calories, but it seems like maybe something's not lining up. You're like, yeah, you know what? I haven't been tracking well. I haven't been measuring well. Let's address that first.
I want to connect two of the things that you just said just a little bit more closely for people, because you started talking about our beautiful community. And yes, some people don't want to necessarily be immersed in that, and that's fine. But if I'm, aware of what certain members are talking about in their own experience, or they're asking great questions because they're very much engaged, if I am willing to self-observe, I can take their questions or look at their experience and ask myself all kinds of things. Am I going through something similar? Is this something that I'm headed for that I need to be?
Yeah, that's a huge one.
Right?
That's a huge one.
And so now I'm linking community. I'm also linking the ability to observe myself and be inquisitive, right? So I'm asking those questions of myself, and maybe honesty doesn't come into this part, but just that it's not quite comparison, but it's saying, like, can I benefit from understanding this? Is this knowledge that applies to me? Is this a trap I've fallen into?
Or eventually could. Like, I think that's one of the biggest things you mentioned there, is that, like, take what somebody else is experiencing and put it in your knowledge bank for later when you might need that.
So I'm going to really speak to women here, and I'm sure men can benefit from this as well. And I'll be inclusive and say they, wherever you are on your journey. I know at 34 years old, and I've known since 12 years old, that my body is doing exactly what my mom's body did at each of the different ages that I hit and those markers. So I listen intently. I am a good listener. I am inquisitive about her experience, because there's a good chance that 18 or 28 years later, pardon me, I'm going through the same thing as her, right? So she'll talk to me about perimenopause in her 40s. And I'm like, okay, even though I'm only at this stage in my life, I need to make a mental note that at around that age, my metabolism is probably going to change because of genetics, right? So like you said, filing that in the bank and making sure, like, okay, can I observe those things to see, oh, right on the mark, or maybe things are slightly different for me. And then what can I do with that?
Love it. I love that so much. And I think that's why community is so valuable on this journey. Just not always hearing something out of my mouth, right? Like, not always hearing it from me one-on-one, being able to see other people on your journey, hear from other coaches. Like, you can't even put a value to that. It's just so important.
Cool. So the next one I want to move to is asking for help. So you brought this up in a big way when you were talking about, like, don't join if you're not willing to communicate with me. And part of that communication is about asking for help. It's not just about saying, I liked this workout or I didn't like this workout. My nutrition's going well and I feel satiated. It's saying, I have questions and I need help.
Yeah. And even when things are going really well, like, let's talk about that. Why are things going so well? Right. I on as part of our intake process, the call that I go through with each member is something that I really dig into. Like, I need you to communicate with me. I need to know when things are going well. I need to know when things aren't going well. I need to know what you find difficult, what you find easy. The more that I understand you and you understand our coaching philosophies, the better you're going to do on this journey. Don't be afraid to ask questions, to get involved, to give me a little bit too much information. Like, do it. Yeah. Communicate.
Love that. So the last one that I wanted to mention in terms of, are you coachable, is, do you remember your successes, right? So many people have a really big challenge with that, where they are only judging themselves on the moment or the goal that they're currently trying to achieve. And they do not remember previous successes to build upon the confidence to either try something new or push the boundaries.
I can't even begin to explain how many times a client's been like 30 pounds down in their journey, which is friggin' amazing. And is like so hyper focused on whatever that original number was that they wanted to get. Maybe it's 35 pounds or 40 or whatever it might be. But it's like, you've lost 30 pounds. Like, when is the
I don't
last
know.
time you were like, when is the last time you had lost 30 pounds or made these nutrition changes or felt this much energy? And part of the problem with that is that a lot of these things aren't measurable. Like the scale is measurable, but it tells us so little about our actual journey. How much energy we have, how we feel day to day is very hard to measure, to hold, to quantify. And so we get so caught up in the thing that we can measure, being the scale, that we don't take that time out to be like, holy man, I've made a lot of progress on this journey.
Yeah. And even with other measurable things, recognizing like I started lifting 5 pound weights and I'm up to 25 pound weights. That's huge.
Yeah.
Perhaps you were, on a walk run, couch to 5K, and you could barely jog for 30 seconds, and now you're running for 5 minutes straight. Like, that's incredible. If we are not pausing to remember our successes,
Yeah.
what's the fun in moving forward?
Well, and so like so often people will tell me like, oh, I get winded when I carry my groceries up the stairs. Well, you have you stopped to realize that you no longer get winded when you carry your groceries up the stairs? That's massive. Have you
And
stopped to realize that you can chase your kids or your grandkids around now when you couldn't? You can get down on your hands and knees and play with them and stand up easily without pain. Like that's massive.
yeah. And I think, some people might be listening to this one at this point being like, how does that make you coachable? Well, it means that you are up for more challenges. It means that you're willing to push yourself outside the comfort zone. It means that your confidence has grown. It also means that when you're communicating with your coach, you're probably less resistant. It probably means that you have an openness and a willingness that you might not have had before. Because if you're forgetting all of these successes, we tend to want to meet a challenge, even a question sometimes, with resistance, which makes us less coachable.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah, and that goes back to that openness too, right? Just be willing to try new things and open your mind. It all circles together. Communicate.
Well, communication is my favorite topic, so that was a lot of fun. Thank you for indulging me.
No, that's great. Great topic. I think that's a valuable one for even if you're not looking to be coached, it's a valuable one for everybody just to reflect on.
Yeah. And I mean, this is also changing the way that you interact with human beings, right? Like, we could say we did this selfishly because we want great clients. We want people to go, I'm coachable, they'll love me. Or you're choosing another coach and we've done a service for them because now they have more coachable clients. That's great too. But again, it's going to funnel back into your happiness with your interaction with people in your day, right? That's going to be one of the biggest benefits that people experience if they can look at this checklist and go, I'm really making an effort. I'm a joy to work with.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It in any day-to-day activities.
Exactly. Cool. So do you want to
Cool.
hit us with a tip?
Yeah, my tip here is finding I'm gonna say drink because drinks are really popular for a lot of people, but finding a drink that is a treat to you and using it to excite yourself or to treat yourself. So for instance, like sparkling water, like I know it's been a big hit lately. A lot of people love the bubblies and those kinds of things. Use that to your advantage, right? And when you use it as a treat, use it as a reward, something that is in line with your goals that you can reward yourself with. So um, put it at a certain time of your day where it's like, once I get here, then I'm going to have that. Or preparing dinner, I know a lot of people would like to have a beer or a glass of wine. Well, find that substitute that's in line with your goals and use it to replace that treat or to feel that that kind of gratification. Because I think too often you could just like mindlessly crush like a 12 pack of sparkling water, and it doesn't then offer that same replacement value, that same level of satisfaction that it can and it has the ability to do. You can do the same thing with coffees and teas and herbal teas, and you can make your own kombuchas or sparkling waters. It doesn't even have to be drinks. You can do the same thing by making an awesome yogurt parfait.
Yeah.
But we we have the ability to make healthy eating and healthy consumption exciting and gratifying, and to treat yourself. I think that's a tool that can be really beneficial for people on their journey.
Might have been one of my favorite tips or takeaways. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks again for listening. Please comment, rate it, share it with people. Keep listening. We appreciate you being here. If there's stuff you want to dig into, if there's topics you want to hear more about, reach out to us. Let us know. Hope you all had a great day. Hope you enjoyed listening.